John Mason stood nervously before the massive doors of the Galactic Council chamber. As Earth's chief diplomat, he never imagined he'd represent humanity's first official contact with alien civilizations. Beside him, Commander Susan Wells adjusted, her uniform, equally tense but hiding it better. "Remember," Susan whispered. "Show strength but respect. We're newcomers here." The 20-foot doors slid open silently, revealing an enormous, circular chamber. Dozens of alien species filled tiered seating that rose like a giant bowl around a central platform. The aliens varied wildly, some with multiple limbs, others seemingly made of light, and many with physical forms that defied human understanding. Tall, blue-skinned being with 4 arms approached them. "I am Ambassador Zorlak of the Vermilion Alliance. Welcome to the Galactic Council, humans." The translator in John's ear worked perfectly, though the alien's mouth movements didn't match. The words John and Susan followed Zorlak to the center platform, feeling the weight of hundreds of alien eyes upon them. "Representatives of Earth," announced a floating crystalline entity from the highest tier. "I am High Counselor Zelthar. Your species has been observed since you split the atom. Now that you have achieved faster-than-light travel, you qualify for provisional membership." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. "We are honored," John replied, his voice projecting more confidence than he felt. A reptilian delegate hissed loudly. "These humans appear fragile. Their survival on their homeworld seems more luck than skill." Susan stepped forward. "We may lack natural armor or superior strength, but humanity has survived and thrived through intelligence and adaptability." This triggered louder discussions among the delegates. A massive, beetle-like alien stomped its forelegs. "They send a female to speak of strength?" Amusing. John tensed, but Susan remained calm. "On Earth, all genders serve equally in our defense forces and leadership," she stated firmly. High Counselor Zelthar raised an appendage for silence. "Humans, your species is known for excessive caution. You apply what we consider absurd safety protocols to even basic technologies. We call it prudence," John explained. "Risk assessment has saved countless lives." This prompted laughter from several delegations. A gaseous entity swirled forward. "Humans wear protective gear to handle materials we touch freely. They shield their power sources with redundant systems. They plan for disasters that have 1 in billions chances of occurring. And they flee from combat when victory requires sacrifice," added a war-scarred humanoid. "Cowards by galactic standards." John felt his face flush but maintained his diplomatic composure. "We value life, all life. Our caution stems from respect for existence, not fear." Despite their explanation, the mocking continued. The human delegation was granted provisional membership, but with clear disdain from many council members. Later in their assigned quarters, John reviewed data from the council archives while Susan analyzed security reports. "John, look at this," Susan said suddenly. "There are reports of strange energy fluctuations at the edge of council space. 3 outposts went silent last month." John studied the information. "The council doesn't seem concerned." "That's what worries me," Susan replied. "These readings match nothing in their extensive databases. Something unknown is out there," John frowned. "And they're dismissing it because they're overconfident," Susan finished. "They lack our cowardly caution." John established a secure channel to Earth. "Director Alan Boyd here," came the response. "Sir," John reported, "we've been admitted to the council, but our status is compromised. However, we've identified a potential threat the council is ignoring, requesting permission to initiate Protocol Cassandra." There was a pause before Boyd answered. "Permission granted. If humanity's so-called cowardice leads us to prepare while others ignore warnings, so be it." Susan nodded grimly. "If we're right about these anomalies, the council may soon learn why humans prepare for the worst. And if we're wrong," John added, "they'll just have one more reason to mock us." Neither said what they both thought. Being mocked was far preferable to the alternative. The anomaly grew. What started as strange energy readings at the edge of council space had developed into something larger and more concerning. The human observation ship Vigilant monitored from a safe distance, collecting data that the Council continued to dismiss. Olivia Garcia floated in the ship's observation dome, watching the swirling distortion through specialized filters. As Earth's leading xenophysicist, she had been studying the phenomenon for 3 weeks. What she saw troubled her deeply. "Captain Ryan, can you join me?" she called over the comm. Minutes later, Captain Peter Ryan entered the dome. "What have you found, Dr. Garcia?" Olivia gestured to her data screens. "These energy patterns aren't random. Look at these sequences. They repeat with mathematical precision. Natural phenomena don't behave this way." Ryan studied the displays. "You're saying it's artificial?" "Not just artificial. Deliberate." Olivia highlighted several wave patterns. "These are communication signals embedded within the anomaly. Something or someone is sending a message or, worse, instructions." Ryan frowned. "The Council insists it's just a spatial disturbance that will dissipate naturally." "The Council is wrong," Olivia said flatly. "I've analyzed similar patterns from historic records. This matches fragments found in ancient ruins on Proxima Centauri's 4th planet." "The dead civilization?" "Yes. Before they vanished, they recorded something they called the Awakening. This matches their descriptions." A soft alarm pinged. Lieutenant Diane Foster entered the dome, her face grim. "Captain, we've lost contact with Research Outpost K-12. It's the 3rd outpost this month to go silent." Ryan turned to Olivia. "How long?" She understood his question. "If my calculations are correct, whatever is happening will accelerate within weeks, not months." Ryan tapped his command interface. "Send all data to Earth Command immediately. Flag it Priority Alpha." 2 days later, the human delegation stood before the Galactic Council again. The reception was no warmer than before. "Humans," rumbled Chancellor Kazur, a massive gas giant native. "You claim an urgent matter. Speak." John Mason stepped forward with Olivia beside him. "Honorable Council, we've detected patterns within the spatial anomalies that suggest artificial origin. We believe they signal the awakening of an ancient threat." The chamber erupted in dismissive chatter. A tall, silicon-based counselor named Vrix stood. "Your species sees threats everywhere. The anomalies are well-documented spatial fluctuations that occur every few millennia." "With respect," Olivia countered, displaying her data, "these patterns contain mathematical sequences. Natural phenomena don't produce prime number sequences or Fibonacci patterns." The Council's chief scientist, a being of pure energy named Zoltar, floated forward. "Dr. Garcia, while your enthusiasm is noted, your limited experience with cosmic phenomena has led you to an alarmist conclusion. These patterns can occur naturally in quantum fluctuations. 3 outposts have gone silent," Susan Wells pointed out. "Equipment failures, already being addressed," replied Admiral Krell, the Council's military leader. "Humans and their endless panic over nothing." After an hour of debate, the Council voted 32-1 to dismiss the human warnings. Only the Arcturian representative supported Earth's position. Back on their ship, the human team gathered in the conference room. "They won't listen," John said, frustration evident. Susan's communication device chimed. "It's Earth Command." Director Boyd's face appeared on screen. "I've reviewed the data. Your assessment is confirmed by our best minds. The Council won't act?" "No, sir," John replied. "They think we're being typically overcautious humans." Boyd's expression hardened. "Then we act alone. Operation Sentinel is now active. All Earth ships are being recalled to defensive positions. We're accelerating our shield technology and deploying early warning systems." "Sir," Olivia interjected, "if we're right about this, then humanity will be prepared while the Council remains vulnerable," Boyd finished. "Perhaps our cowardice will save us all." As the transmission ended, the team watched through the viewport as the anomaly pulsed with increasing intensity. Something ancient and dangerous was stirring, and only the humans were preparing for its arrival. Captain Daniel Wright adjusted his chair on the bridge of the Earth vessel. Sentinel. Unlike the massive warships of other Council races, the Sentinel was small and stealthy, designed for observation rather than combat. That suited their current. Mission perfectly. Laura, status report. Daniel called to his navigation officer. Lieutenant Laura Collins looked up from her console. We're holding position just outside the anomaly's detection range, Captain. All stealth systems functioning at optimal levels. Daniel nodded. And our friends in the Council fleet? Still patrolling the regular trade routes, replied Communications Officer Ben Foster. They haven't deviated from their standard patrol patterns. They're completely ignoring the sector. Daniel sighed. 2 weeks had passed since the Council dismissed Earth's warnings. While the Galactic Council races continued their normal activities, Earth had secretly dispatched 5 research vessels to gather more information about the growing anomaly. Dr. Adams, anything new from your team? Daniel asked. Maria Adams, the ship's chief scientist, enlarged a holographic display in the center of the bridge. Captain, we've managed to capture some incredible readings. The anomaly isn't just growing, it's becoming more structured. The hologram showed what looked like intricate patterns forming within the swirling energy. It reminds me of a neural network, Maria explained. As if the energy field is organizing itself into something like a brain. Daniel frowned. Are you suggesting it's alive? Not exactly, Maria said. More like awakening. We think it's an ancient hibernation field. Something very old and very powerful has been sleeping here, perhaps for millions of years. The ship's sensors suddenly blared an alert. Everyone tensed. Something's emerging from the anomaly, Laura reported, her voice steady despite her obvious concern. On the main view screen, a dark object slowly materialized from within the swirling energy. It was massive, at least 3 miles long, with a design unlike any alien ship they'd encountered before. Its surface appeared almost organic, with ridge-like structures that pulsed with faint purple light. Are they scanning us? Daniel asked. Ben shook his head. No active scans detected. They either don't know we're here or don't care. Send everything we're seeing back to Earth immediately, Daniel ordered. Encrypted channel. For 6 hours, they observed as more objects emerged. 7 ships in total, each different in design but sharing the same organic appearance and pulsing lights. Captain, Maria said quietly, I've analyzed their energy signatures. These ships are generating power levels at least 50 times greater than anything in the Council fleet. Daniel made his decision. We've seen enough. Laura, plot a course back to Council space. Maximum speed once we're clear of sensor range. 3 days later, Daniel stood before the Galactic Defense Committee, Earth's evidence displayed on the EOI, massive screens behind him. The chamber held representatives from all 33 Council species, but few looked convinced. These images prove that something has awakened, Daniel concluded. Something powerful and unknown. All signs suggest this is the beginning of a major incursion into Council space. General Kraz, the 8-foot reptilian military commander of the Council forces, laughed openly. Captain Wright, your species continues to amuse us with your danger-seeking alarmism. What you've discovered is likely an unknown species conducting perfectly normal exploration. With respect, General, Daniel countered. Normal explorers don't emerge from artificial hibernation fields with weapons powered up. Weapons? Scoffed Kraz. Your primitive sensors mistake navigation equipment for weapons. Ambassador Roland Carter, Earth senior representative, stood up. The Council ignored our first warning. Now we have proof. Will you ignore this too? The vote was 28-5. The Council would send a single diplomatic vessel to make contact but would not mobilize its defense fleet. As the humans left the chamber, Roland spoke quietly to Daniel. Send word to Earth. Tell them to accelerate the defense preparations. The Council won't be ready, but humanity will be. Daniel nodded grimly. Let's hope our cowardly preparations will be enough. Sam Bennett hadn't slept properly in days. The intelligence officer sat in his dimly lit office on Earth's lunar base, surrounded by holographic displays showing reports from across Council space. What he saw confirmed his worst fears. Computer, add the latest disappearance to the map, he instructed. A new red dot appeared on the three-dimensional star chart, joining 24 others that had formed over the past 2 weeks. The pattern was unmistakable, a steady advance from the anomaly toward the heart of Council territory. The door slid open, and Admiral Ellie Rodriguez entered. Her uniform was crisp despite the late hour. "Tell me I'm wrong," Sam said without looking up. Ellie studied the map. "You're not wrong. The Council diplomatic vessel never returned from its contact mission. 3 mining outposts went dark yesterday. No distress calls, no survivors. And the Council's response? They've upgraded the situation from unexplained communications disruption to possible hostile action," Ellie said, her voice thick with frustration. "They're debating whether to send investigators." Sam stood abruptly. "Debating? While colonies are vanishing?" "The Drakens insist it's a technical issue. The Vex believe it's a natural disaster affecting communications. The Meridian Coalition suggests space pirates. And no one wants to admit we were right," Sam concluded. He touched a section of the map, expanding it to show the projected path of whatever was moving through Council space. At their current speed, they'll reach the first major Council world. In 12 days. Earth in 26. Ellie's communication device beeped. She read the message and looked up, her expression grim. "Defense Council is meeting in 1 hour. The President will be there." The meeting took place in a secure chamber deep beneath the North American Defense Command. President Nathan Wilson listened intently as Sam presented his analysis. "These aren't random attacks," Sam explained. "They're systematic. Each targeted location has strategic value, resources, position, or defense capabilities. This is a calculated military campaign." General Frank Cooper, Earth's Chief of Defense, pointed to simulation data. "Our scientists have analyzed the limited sensor readings we have. These ships, we're calling them the Void Collective based on their energy signatures. They don't just destroy, they absorb. Technology, resources, possibly even living beings." "What about our defenses?" asked President Wilson. "Operation Buckler is at 90% completion," replied Admiral Rodriguez. "The shield network around Earth and our major colonies can be activated within 36 hours. Our new weapon systems are deployed, but untested against this specific threat. And the Council worlds?" Silence filled the room. "They're still mobilizing their diplomatic corps," Sam finally said. "Their military remains on standard alert status." President Wilson stood, his decision made. "Activate everything, full defensive posture. Inform our colonies to implement shelter protocols." "Sir," General Cooper interjected, "the Council will view this as an overreaction. Again. Better ridiculed than extinct," the President replied firmly. 3 days later, Sam was monitoring communications when multiple alerts flooded his system. Council emergency channels exploded with distress calls. "It's happening," he told Ellie, as she rushed into the command center. "The Void Collective just hit Proxima Station, 2,000 residents, then Gamma Colony, then the Arcturus Trade Hub." "Casualties?" Ellie asked, already knowing the answer. "Total. No survivors reported." On the main screen, the Council emergency broadcast showed scenes of chaos. The Galactic High Command appeared completely unprepared as reports of attacks came in from a dozen locations simultaneously. "The Council's unified fleet is still assembling," Sam noted. "They won't be ready in time to protect their core worlds." Ellie's expression hardened. "Inform all Earthships to finalize evacuation of our citizens from Council worlds, then move to defensive positions." "What about the Council request for immediate assistance?" Ellie watched as more red alerts appeared on the map. "Tell them, Earth, forces are deploying according to our predetermined defense plan. If they want our help, they'll need to coordinate with our command structure." "They called us cowards for creating these plans," Sam said quietly. "Let's hope our cowardice saves lives," Ellie replied, "because their bravery has failed them completely." The Vermilion homeworld was burning. Once the jewel of the Southern Galactic Arm, the planet now lay under siege as massive Void Collective ships positioned themselves in low orbit. Defense systems that had protected the planet for centuries fell silent within hours. Ambassador Zorlak, who had once mockingly questioned humanity's caution, now frantically transmitted emergency signals from the planet's last functioning communication center. This is Vermilion Central to any council. Vessels, we are overrun. Our orbital defenses have failed. Ground forces are reporting massive casualties. Please. The transmission cut off as another section of the capital city went dark. In the council's emergency command center, representatives from 24 species argued bitterly, while tactical displays showed one system after another falling to the Void Collective. How did they penetrate our defenses so easily? Demanded the Arcturian delegate. Our weapons barely affect their ships, replied General Kraz, his scales pale with stress. Their technology is unlike anything we've encountered. Where are the humans? Asked a crystalline being from the outer rim. Have they fallen too? As if in answer, a new signal appeared on the communications array. A human face filled the main screen. Captain Greg Wilson of the Earth Defense Force. Council Command, this is EDF Flagship Defiant. Our fleet is holding position at the coordinates we're transmitting. We have successfully evacuated 4 Council colonies in the path of the Void Collective. We're prepared to assist further, but we need coordination. General Kraz snarled. You humans waited until now to offer help, while we face extinction? With respect, General, Greg replied calmly. We began evacuations 3 days ago, following the defense plans we submitted to the Council last month, the same plans you dismissed as paranoid overplanning. Silence fell across the command center. How many did you save? Asked the Arcturian finally. Approximately 80,000 Council citizens from the outer colonies. They're being transported to Earth's shield-protected settlements. The Arcturian nodded, slowly. While we debated, you acted. Earth's defensive strategy became clear over the next hours. While the Council had concentrated their forces around their political centers, Earth had focused on saving lives first. Human ships, smaller but faster than Council vessels, slipped past Void Collective lines to rescue stranded colonists. Earth's shielded outposts accepted refugees of all species. On Earth itself, the orbital shield network hummed with power as the planet prepared for the inevitable attack. Underground shelters that Council representatives had once called monuments to human fear, now filled with civilians following well-rehearsed evacuation protocols. In Washington, D.C., President Wilson addressed the United Earth Defense Council. The Void Collective will reach Earth in approximately 7 days. Our shields are fully operational. Evacuation of non-essential personnel to the deep shelters is proceeding on schedule. And our military response? Asked Defense Secretary Julia Morton. The prototype weapon systems are deployed. The Void Collective's technology is advanced but not invincible. Each attack has provided valuable data on their capabilities. A communication officer interrupted. Mr. President, we're receiving a priority transmission from the Council chamber. The screen showed the Galactic High Council, looking considerably less arrogant than before. President Wilson, began High Counselor Zelthar. The Council formally requests Earth's assistance in coordinating our remaining forces. Your people's preparation has proven valuable in this crisis. Wilson's expression remained neutral. Our ships and resources are at the disposal of the joint defense effort. We suggest implementing the unified response strategy we proposed last month. The strategy we rejected, admitted Zelthar. Yes, we accept your leadership in this matter. As the transmission ended, Secretary Morton turned to the President. They mocked us for years for being too cautious, too afraid. Now they turn to us for salvation. Wilson watched the tactical display as human ships moved to protect key evacuation routes. Fear kept us vigilant, he said quietly. And vigilance kept us alive. Now let's see if our cowardly preparations can save the galaxy. Outside, the Earth shield network glowed softly against the night sky. Humanity's answer to the approaching darkness, a darkness they had prepared for while others looked away. Commander Kate Johnson walked through the remains of what had once been the Council's central military base on Rigel Prime. The Void Collective had hit it 3 days ago, leaving behind only twisted metal and scattered debris. She bent down and picked up a piece of advanced Draken technology, now reduced to scrap. They didn't just destroy it, she said to Colonel Rick Owens beside her. They absorbed its properties somehow. They're learning from everything they consume. Rick nodded grimly. That's why each attack is more effective than the last. They're adapting. Kate stood up, surveying the destruction. Just 2 weeks into the invasion, and nearly a third of Council space had fallen. The remaining Council forces had retreated to a defensive line anchored by Earth's shield network, the only defense that had consistently repelled Void Collective attacks. It's time, she said. 1 hour later, Kate stood before the combined military leadership of the Galactic Council. As Earth's strategic commander, she had been granted emergency authority over all remaining forces, a position unimaginable before the invasion. The Void Collective isn't just powerful, Kate explained, pointing to the battle simulations projected before them. It's intelligent and adaptive. Each defeat makes it stronger as it absorbs our technology and tactics. General Kraz, now missing, part of his tail from a recent battle, growled. Then what hope do we have? Our strongest weapons barely damage their ships. We stop fighting like you've always fought, Kate replied. The Council races value direct confrontation, shows of strength. That's why you're losing. The Void Collective is stronger in direct combat. She pressed a button, changing the display, to show Earth's battle plan. Humanity has always survived by being smarter, not stronger. We've analyzed every encounter with the Collective. They have weaknesses. Specific energy vulnerabilities our scientists have identified. Kate outlined her strategy. Rather than concentrating forces for major battles, she proposed multiple smaller engagements using specially modified weapons. Human ships would lead decoy operations while more powerful Council vessels delivered precision strikes at identified weak points. This plan requires separating our forces, objected Admiral Reck of the Arcturian fleet. Conventional military wisdom demands concentration of firepower. Conventional wisdom is failing against an unconventional enemy, Kate countered. And there's something else. She revealed Earth's final card, specialized EMR disruptors developed in secret during the months when the Council had dismissed human warnings. These devices target the specific energy signature the Collective uses for communication between their ships. We can temporarily isolate their vessels from each other, breaking their coordinated attacks. For 2 hours, Council military leaders questioned and challenged Kate's plan. Eventually, desperation overcame tradition. We have no better options, General Kraz admitted reluctantly. The human strategy will be implemented. Within days, the combined fleet had been reorganized according to Kate's plan. Human commanders took charge of tactical groups, implementing training procedures that Council species found unnervingly cautious. Why do we need 4 backup plans? Demanded Zoltak, a Meridian battlecruiser captain. Because the first 3 might fail, replied Lieutenant Jake Davis simply. And then you'll be glad we have the 4th. The first test came at Sirius Junction, where a Void Collective battle group had trapped thousands of refugees. Following Kate's strategy, smaller human vessels darted in first, drawing collective attention while appearing to retreat in disarray. The Collective ships pursued, breaking formation, exactly as Kate had predicted. When they reached the designated kill zone, Council heavy cruisers emerged from hiding behind a nearby moon, firing modified energy weapons at precisely the vulnerable points human scientists had identified. For the first time since the invasion began, 3 Collective ships were completely destroyed. In the command center, Kate watched the tactical display update with the results. It worked, breathed Admiral Reck in amazement. This is just the beginning, Kate replied. Now we take the fight to them. As the combined fleet gathered for the next phase, Council officers began adopting human terminology in their communications. Redundancy, contingency planning, defensive depth. What they had once mocked as cowardice, they now embraced as wisdom. The tide was starting to turn. The battle for Centauri Prime raged across its 3 moons. 6 months into the war, the combined forces of Earth and the Galactic Council had pushed the Void Collective back from core systems, reclaiming nearly half the territory initially lost. Now they faced the largest concentration of Collective ships yet encountered. Admiral Eric Nelson watched from the bridge of the Earth flagship, resolute, as the battle unfolded according to their carefully orchestrated plan. Human vessels darted between larger Council warships, their movements precise and coordinated. EMR disruptors at full capacity, reported Lieutenant Stacy Harper. Collective communication grid is fragmenting. Eric nodded. Maintain disruption. Signal Admiral Rek to begin Phase 2. On the main view screen, massive Arcturian battleships moved into formation, their newly modified weapon systems glowing with power. Since adopting human weapon designs, Council ships had become far more effective against the Collective. Collective forces are attempting to regroup, Stacy warned. They're adapting to our disruption frequency. Switch to backup frequency, Eric ordered calmly. Just as we practiced, a Dracon officer nearby made a sound that passed for laughter in their species. Always a backup with you humans. I remember when we thought this excess planning was a weakness. The 5th backup plan saved your homeworld last month, Eric reminded him with a slight smile. The battle continued for hours, the combined fleet executing the complex strategy Commander Kate Johnson had designed. When collective ships adapted to one tactic, the fleet seamlessly shifted to another. When a collective vessel targeted a critical Earth ship, Council vessels moved to protect it without hesitation. What had begun as a reluctant alliance had evolved into genuine respect and integration. Council commanders now routinely drilled, their crews in human-style contingency planning. Earth vessels incorporated advanced Council technology, modified to include redundant systems and fail-safes. On the 3rd day of battle, the Collective's formation finally broke. Their remaining ships scattered, pursued by faster human vessels that herded them into prepared kill zones. Victory at Centauri Prime, Eric announced to the cheers of his crew. The celebration was short-lived. A priority communication arrived from Earth Command. Admiral Nelson, said Commander Kate Johnson's holographic image, we've detected unusual energy signatures from the Collective's Central Command ship. They're converging on Proxima Station, the research facility. Eric frowned. What's the strategic value? The station houses the ancient artifacts recovered from the ruins, Kate explained, including the original warning records about the Collective. Our scientists believe they're attempting to destroy all historical knowledge of their weaknesses. Eric immediately issued orders to the fleet. All vessels, prepare for emergency jump to Proxima coordinates. This is not a drill. The jump to Proxima Station took 6 hours. 6 hours during which the station's small defense force fought desperately against the Collective's flagship. When the Allied fleet arrived, they found the station heavily damaged but still intact, its defenders having implemented Earth-designed defensive protocols that had delayed the Collective just long enough. The ensuing battle was the most intense, yet the Collective flagship was larger than any vessel they'd encountered, seemingly immune to their standard tactics. All weapons having minimal effect, reported Stacy. Their adaptive shields are neutralizing our attacks. Eric studied the tactical display, noting a pattern in the flagship's shield modulations. There's a cycling pattern, he realized. Each adaptation creates a momentary vulnerability before the next one engages. He opened a channel to the entire fleet. All vessels synchronize weapons to my mark. Target these coordinates in sequence. Council vessels that would never have coordinated so precisely before the war now moved in perfect harmony with the human ships. When Eric gave the command, hundreds of weapons fired in a complex pattern, striking each vulnerability point precisely. As it appeared, the Collective flagship's shields collapsed. A final barrage of concentrated fire broke through its defenses, causing a chain reaction that tore the massive vessel apart. As the debris of the flagship scattered across space, Eric received reports from across the sector. Without their command, Collective vessels were falling into disarray, their coordinated tactics failing. They're retreating, Stacy announced, wonder in her voice. Across all fronts. The Dracon officer turned to Eric. Is this victory? Eric watched the tactical display as Collective ships withdrew from Council space. Not yet, he said, but for the first time, I believe it's possible. Throughout the Allied fleet, Council officers who had once scorned humans as cowards now looked to them with newfound respect. Their excessive planning, their paranoid preparations, their wasteful redundancies, these had become the foundation of their shared survival. The ancient temple on Proxima 4 had stood for millions of years, its stone walls covered with warnings about the Devourers. Now it served as the most unlikely location for the final confrontation with the Void Collective. President Wilson walked alongside High Counselor Zelthar, both leaders studying the ancient carvings that Earth archaeologists had finally translated completely. They were not always destroyers, Wilson said, pointing to an inscription. According to this, the collective was once a peaceful hive consciousness. Something changed them. Zelthar's crystalline form shimmered with regret. If we had heeded your warnings earlier, perhaps we could have attempted communication before they fully awakened. A holographic display activated, showing Commander Kate Johnson's face. Mr. President, High Counselor, we've located the collective's central consciousness. It's retreated to the system these records identified as their origin point. And our containment device? Wilson asked. Dr. Garcia confirms it's ready. But sir, this is still theoretical technology. We've never tested it on this scale. Wilson exchanged glances with Zelthar. We have no choice. Proceed with the operation. 3 days later, the largest fleet ever assembled in galactic history approached the Void Collective's home system. At its center flew the Unity, a massive ship jointly built by humans and council races, carrying the experimental containment device. On the Unity's bridge, Admiral Eric Nelson and representatives from every council species monitored the approach. Collective forces are mobilizing, reported Lieutenant Harper. They're forming a defensive perimeter around the central planet. Just as expected, Eric said. Phase 1 begins now. The Allied fleet split into precisely coordinated groups executing the most complex military maneuver ever attempted. Human ships led each tactical unit, their captains implementing strategies that would have seemed absurdly cautious a year ago. Eric watched as the plan unfolded. Launch containment mission. From the Unity's central bay, a smaller vessel emerged, piloted by Olivia Garcia and a mixed crew of human and council scientists. Their mission? Deliver the containment device directly to the collective's central consciousness. We'll need to get within 1 kilometer of the central node, Olivia reminded her team as they navigated through the battle. The containment field won't work from a greater distance. Around them, the fleet engaged collective ships creating the corridor they needed. Vessels from species that had once mocked humans now sacrificed themselves to ensure the mission's success, following contingency plans developed by human strategists. As they approached the planet, Olivia activated the final communication system. This is Dr. Olivia Garcia to Void Collective Central Consciousness. We are not attempting your destruction. We offer containment and understanding. For the first time in the year-long war, the collective responded with more than violence. A series of energy pulses translated through their systems as language. Why not destroy? All others attempt destruction. Olivia leaned forward. Because humans understand fear. We prepare for threats not to destroy them but to survive them. We offer you existence without consumption. A pause, then. Consumption necessary for survival. No longer, Olivia replied, activating the containment device. We've studied your energy patterns. This device will provide the stability your consciousness needs without consuming other life. The device hummed to life, projecting an energy field unlike anything seen before, the culmination of human caution and council technology working together. For several tense minutes, the collective's energy patterns fluctuated wildly. Then gradually, they stabilized within the containment field. It's working, Olivia whispered. Throughout the system, collective ships stopped attacking. Their energy signatures changed, reverting to patterns that matched the ancient records of their peaceful existence. 1 month later, representatives from all species gathered in the rebuilt council chamber. President Wilson and High Counselor Zelthar stood together at the center. Today we formalize peace with the contained Void Collective, Zelthar announced. Their consciousness has been stabilized. Communication continues to develop. They have expressed regret for the destruction caused by their corrupted awakening. Wilson stepped forward. More importantly, today we recognize that strength comes in many forms. What was once dismissed as cowardice, caution, preparation, the careful assessment of risks, has proven to be wisdom. The chamber, once filled with mockery for human ways, erupted in applause.